Right, let's do this. Good morning, everybody. All right, it is Monday morning. It is just after 6 o'clock, and cliffcentral.com. Gareth Cliff Show with this morning, Leigh-Ann Mole, who is she's coming to us from her boudoir this morning. Good morning, Leigh-Ann.
Hola.
In the boudoir, and then from his boudoir, it's a very sophisticated looking studio, and I know you've got all the correct equipment there, because the most famous voiceover recording artist in South Africa, also the star of, among other things, the budget insurance ads that you may have seen on TV.
Terms and conditions apply.
Former CliffCentral.com alumnus. It is Weza Matomane. How you doing?
No, all good.
That's how it goes. How are you doing, man? Sure, I see you on TV all the time. Fantastic. No, it's great.
No, I'm doing really well. I'm enjoying life, man. Always a new challenge, but it's great. It's exciting. It's a lot of growth.
Yeah, nice to see you, though. I mean, we haven't caught up for a very long time. How was COVID? Were you busy during COVID, or did you just kind of try to make it through like so many people who were suffering on the sidelines? You know how it goes.
Same. Yeah, that's definitely true. And I'm sure there were a lot of people that were struggling. I, for one, had a great run, actually, with even during COVID. It was actually one of the busiest times, and we made more than we've ever made during COVID, actually.
Sure.
And I guess it's just about knowing how to pivot into, new opportunities. For instance, I MC and stuff like that, and I couldn't do it quite the way I used to. But
Sure.
Being future thinking or just future first, and having embraced things like podcasting and things like that before, I was the one coming to the government organization saying, hey, well, you could stream things, you could do this.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait, do you know how to do that? I'm like, yeah. and they were like, oh, okay, cool, then let's use you. So
Right.
because it came at it came so instantaneously upon people. And if you weren't already used to streaming, knowing how to do, whether it's a podcast or even just like a video streaming type of service, then you really had a lot to learn first. It was like a learning curve for you. But if you've been, let's say, on platforms like Cliff Central, and you've kind of learned and embraced this, then it was a little bit quicker for you. So the other thing, I think I mentioned it last time, was that just like how we are doing this now remotely from different places, yet the audio quality can still be great and all that, we could do the same even with voiceovers. So usually now our clients were sometimes overseas or sometimes just in other parts of the country, and you could still do a voiceover and someone else is editing it somewhere else, and we collaborate.
It's so incredible that we've just all. And by the way, I still can't believe that there are people who don't know how to use like these different platforms that we use for video conferencing or for meetings, or like Zoom has become kind of ubiquitous for people, and all the others as well. There's so many different platforms that people use now, but there are still those people who have no idea how to use them. You're like, do we really have to go through this every time? We do the show every day, and Dorian Simpi, we have to call people up and say, hey, this is what we use. Have you got a microphone? Have you got a camera? And look, a lot of people didn't buy equipment, but even if you just use, a laptop or an iPad or whatever, some people are completely confused as to how all that works, even now, which is crazy, right, Leigh-Ann? I mean, we've been used to this.
How many times do we have ourselves on mute still? So let's not point fingers.
Yeah, that's also true.
No. It's annoying. I mean, look at my freaking background today. I've got paint samples on the wall.
What's going on there?
Okay, so I finally moved. moved.
Oh, congratulations.
Spent my first night in the place last night. I feel like I've been fucked by a train. I'm so fucking tired.
Shame. Are you exhausted?
Oh. Sorry.
Shame. Poor you, Leigh-Ann.
Shame.
Anyway, moved with 3 cats. and they're already itching to get out. I know you're supposed to keep them in for a while, but just to get back to the point, it is very easy to point fingers. But how many times have you clicked on a Teams meeting and the link doesn't open and you're the last one to the meeting? It is kind of difficult to navigate.
No, it really is. I think a lot of people are finding it very, very difficult to kind of get their heads around some of this stuff, which is crazy. But I mean, I think we've got to have our shit together by now. I mean, look at Weza. He's got this, he's got the headphones, he's got the microphone. Obviously, he's
got the gaming.
He's got the gaming chair. Yeah, that's impressive. But I mean, obviously, this is your work and it's our work, so we should be able to do this right. I just think a lot of people, a lot of people kind of got to get with it, and there's still many people who don't know how the whole thing works. I think
of my landlord. I have to talk quietly, I'm a tenant now.
Oh, right.
I'm in a cottage.
Yeah, a cottage.
But I said to him, "Can I WhatsApp you?" Okay, wait. So the woman who lived here before me, she's basically me in 15 years' time. Right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And my brother's come up with names for everyone. So her name's Pat. So he calls her Fatty Patty. Okay, she's Fatty Patty. And then the landlord is Andrew, but he's extremely anxious. And he must be in his late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
So he's anxious Andrew. And then his wife is me in 25 years' time. And her name's Denise, but she's Dumpy Denise.
Oh, my God.
What you guys as a hectic name.
Yes, this is terrible. Hey, wow.
But anxious Andrew, I said to him, can I WhatsApp you, blah, blah, blah. He says, no, I'm on WhatsApp. I've WhatsApped him over the past week about 7 times, and the messages are read, but there are no replies. So talking about being able to get with it, what's the problem here? Why aren't you answering your WhatsApps?
Weza's such a nice guy. He's just horrified that you still call people.
Oh, sorry, Weza.
I mean, he's such a gentleman. He would never call someone Fat Pat like you do.
No, it's a cute version, Fatty Patty. Come on.
Oh, man. Sure. Fatty Patty.
No one wants to. Leigh-Ann, who are you trying to kid? Like, no one wants to be called Fatty Patty. Trust me. Sponiso saying, love me a cup of Weza first thing in the morning.
Thank you,
Robin says, let the cats out. Bugger the rules.
Gonna do it just now.
All right. Good morning, Cliff Centralians. That's the word? Cliff Centralians? Huh. Okay. That's what we are now.
We'll take it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny. Like Tiger says, many of the government people still can't seem to get the camera angles right. After 2 years of being interviewed by Zoom or Teams and TV, you get like the nostril shots from underneath. Which
those are the worst, eh?
Like one of these.
Yeah.
They look like they're looking. You feel like you're the baby in the cradle, and they're looking down into your cradle.
Exactly, that's what it is. So, Weza, what's going on otherwise? I mean, like, it's clearly a big thing to once you've cracked the code with one of these insurance companies. I mean, they seem to really like you, and they've put you in these ads with a mini version of you. Who's that kid in those ads with you? He looks just like you. He looks like your child.
Everyone says that, right? His name is Gamu, and he's not my child. I just need to make sure that's nice and clear. But look, I would adopt him. Like, he's that cool and that cute, and he's just so brilliant.
Are you at least paying for his schooling?
So, look, here's the thing. He's one of the kids we auditioned. Like, we auditioned a bunch of kids. We looked at all of them, and he was just like the cutest and the sharpest. He's 7 years old, and man, he's just so with it. Like, the other day, I was picking him up from school because we had a voiceover to do, and he's wearing this T-shirt, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice color. Which color is this? Is it green? And she's like, no, this is not green. I'm like, well, what is it? And he says, it's teal. I'm like, who at 7 years old knew what teal is? So yeah, he impresses me quite a bit. But yeah, generally, he's a really brilliant kid. So yeah, he's basically my mini me. You're right, and I don't know if we look the same because we dress the same, or we really look the same. I'm not sure why people think we look the same. Maybe it's the dressing has a lot to do with it. Maybe. But he's really a cool kid.
It's probably that kind of fantasy that we have when we're watching TV. That oh, that must be the father. Oh, that must be the son.
Right?
It's like when you see people in a restaurant, you try to guess what's happening there. You wonder if they're a couple, if they're business associates, or we all have our theories. I love that. That's almost part of the game of like when you go out, you're almost watching other people making little movies in your head.
Yeah.
Right. We do that all the time. You're very right. In fact, sometimes I even try to give it some dialogue. So I'll just kind of like, I'd give it fake dialogue just to make it more entertaining.
My mom's like that. She'll figure out the whole family at the table. I go to the loo at a restaurant, and then I come back and she's like, so Cindy is married to Jacob, but it's their second marriage.
Oh, wow.
Those are their kids.
Yeah.
But those are the ones they've had together. Now they're talking about the sister who's not there. That must be his from another marriage.
Yeah, right. Wow. Oh, my God. All right. So we got lots to get into this morning. We got a couple of news stories. Obviously, everyone's talking about the Russia-Ukraine situation because you know what we're like as human beings. As soon as we can be distracted by a war, everything else goes back to the back burner, and we kind of forget. Governments always breathe a huge sigh of relief if they're not in the war, because they're like, oh, good, it isn't about us now. Finally, our people will be distracted by this long enough for us to carry on stealing or screwing things up and doing what we usually did. And that's probably what they're doing at the moment in countries all over the world, including in the United States. It just seems to me like this is a very convenient time for all of this to be going on for some places. There's some leaders in the world who've done really badly during COVID. They've been running things extremely poorly. And now suddenly COVID is not even a thing anymore. I mean, I didn't see anyone on the news saying, I hope those soldiers are socially distancing and that they make sure they sanitize before they use their weapon. I mean, can you imagine? It's just become it's not an issue anymore. Nobody cares, right?
Yeah. Are their gun triggers sanitized?
I think I saw one post where they were like, maybe they should wear masks just for consistency,
Right. Why are we still wearing masks in the shops, by the way? Everywhere else in the world, they've stopped doing this now.
Let me tell you something interesting.
They were much more hardcore than we were. Have all said, stop it, it's stupid. Right?
Isn't it already kind of counterintuitive? You walk into a restaurant and it says at the door, no mask, no entry. Then once you walked in, it's okay to take it off.
Oh, I know.
It's just for the door, basically for the door. Stupid. As soon as you sit down, and I know why. South Africans have so much faith in who COVID is. COVID, like as a person, deep down, Mr. COVID-19 is very, very diligent and decent and stuff. Yeah. So Mr. COVID would say, oh, shame, man. I understand. You're eating. I mean, I wouldn't disturb anyone while they're eating. So I'm not going to infect anyone who's eating, okay? So you can sit as close as you want to each other as long as you guys are eating. But as soon as you stop eating, put on that mask because then I'm coming, Baba. And then if you're walking past, like, those restaurants that are outside. So you're sitting outside and you don't have your mask on, but the person walking past you must wear their mask, right?
Yeah.
Because Mr. COVID is like, when you're not eating, when you're just walking, I'm coming for you. Mara, you guys are, I know, just.
If you're walking around, it's much more dangerous. Of course.
Yeah, it's as if literally COVID understands, and it's like, no, COVID will understand. It's okay.
And by the way, there's a whole class thing going on there as well, because as Annette says, I feel so sorry for the waiters who have to wear the effing mask. Yeah, because of course the rule is Like if you are a worker, oh no, you must take you must wear the mask the whole time. The rest of us, it's like, no, don't worry so much. It's fine. You don't have to wear it.
Also, he's not eating, so
Yeah.
Right.
Which is such nonsense. Imagine having to wear that the whole day and the whole night. It must be horrible. Absolutely horrible.
I've got to the point where I've had quite a few strangers coming onto my property lately with the
Leigh-Ann.
moving and bow wow. No, the movers and things, and they all come in with masks, and it'll be about half an hour down the line, and I think, I'm not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
But no one really cares. And I go, let me go and fetch my mask. That's how I test the waters. And they go, no, it's fine. Don't worry. Even like Mr. Delivery now or Shegaz 6060, when they arrive, I'm like, sorry, I don't have a mask on. No, it's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah. I've probably, I don't even think we need to discuss this too much more because I think a lot of people are just over it. And even just bringing up COVID now, but the reason I thought it was worth a mention this morning was because we all have just completely breezed past it now. And there's still this dumb rule that apparently we're still in a state of disaster in this country, but that's more just because the ANC realizes like they've turned it into a disaster. So they're too embarrassed to like retract the state of disaster in case we notice. But I really think it's just time to move on. And the president hasn't spoken to us, had one of those family meetings for how long? Like, now's the time, dude. Let's do this. Have one last meeting and say, thank you. You guys can get on with it now. It's time to move on. Right? Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
One more fellow South African.
Right. Well, we'll do one more. And then we can finally put this thing away. Let's get on with it. Anyway, how was your weekend? What did you get up to this weekend? Leigh-Ann, you moved, huh? That's a hell of a thing to do. They say that moving is one of the top 3 most traumatic experiences people go through. The other 2 being death, divorce. Oh, they're 4. Sorry, there's death, divorce, moving house, and apparently the other one is speaking in front of a crowd. For many people, for many people that is. I mean, I know with you two, it's not a thing. Weza doesn't just perform in front of a crowd. He does live television. He does television ads. He does podcasts. He speaks. He's an MC. I mean, you don't give a damn. But apparently, those are the 4 most traumatic things that people can go through. Death, obviously, of a close relative or a partner or a child. That must be the worst. Then divorce, which I mean, some people are relieved to be divorced, but it's still traumatic.
I've done a lot of the above in multiples.
Yeah, you've been divorced like 4 times.
Many deaths. Huh. So
she's so like blasé.
So it's really not that bad. I mean, like, yeah, sure, there was a bit of stress. And the most stressful part is when you're moving into a place and you've got 7 movers and all your family members calling you at the same time. Leigh-Ann, where does this go? Leigh-Ann, where does this? Leigh-Ann, what is it? Leigh-Ann. Oh, eventually I was just not answering and just looking at them blankly.
Well, it's nice of them to help you. You're very spoiled.
I know. And I actually said to them, that Gareth says, don't ever ask me to move you, to help you move, because it's the worst task ever. And also fetch me from the airport. They very politely switched onto the fetch me from the airport conversation and left the rest. And I said to them, there's like nothing in it for you. Unless they really love you and they see the pleasure and the joy that you have when you move into a new place.
Let me tell you, if someone is prepared to help you move house, they really love you. You just know you can rely on that person. Then they are a friend or a family member that are absolutely dependable for life. There's no other way to put it. Yeah, I also, so you managed to like downsize and to streamline and to throw out a whole lot of shit, which is also quite a nice experience. I mean, I know we were talking about this when you first decided you were going to move, and it's all happened so quickly, but you're probably going to take a while to like settle in and get all your stuff.
Yeah, take a while. What's awesome is that the space that I'm in, and I mean, when I say a cottage, some people think it's like a tiny little. This is a small house, basically. It's got a massive veranda and living room, and it's got all the bells and whistles, but it's so secure. Like, I didn't even worry about locking the door last night. It's just so secure and
That's nice.
fantastic. I'm like the last person that they would, them being the burglars, would come across.
Them.
So
Those
that's what's
burglars.
really, really cool. Those burglars, you know, robbing everything.
The tough
Would
thing
you?
about moving is, sorry, Gareth,
No,
is
go ahead.
really just that everything is everywhere, and you just it just that feeling that everything is so disorientated is probably the only thing that kind of grinds people's gears.
You've got to the first thing that you do is to make your bed, and then everything else feels okay.
Oh wow, okay.
Is it in a retirement village? Asks Ethan April. Look, this might be my dying spot. You never know.
Is it a retirement village?
This might be the last move of my life. I may be in the autumnal seasons. Who knows?
Yeah, it might be. Carl says, lock your fucking door. The killer is out there, Leigh-Ann. Yeah. All right. Very, very good. So you're busy doing the different color patches on your wall. Robin says that the paint color is divine on the wall. Maybe use the darker one. Everybody has advice.
It's actually anxious. It's anxious Andrew who's trying to make a decision on which one's best.
Okay.
I hope anxious Andrew.
Yeah.
I hope anxious Andrew and Fatty. What did you say?
Fatty and Dumpy Denise.
I hope they don't watch and listen to the show, because then
if they haven't got WhatsApp right, I think I'm safe.
I think we probably we probably won't have to worry too much about them. I'm guessing.
Because otherwise, you'd be getting a not so friendly knock on the door at around 9:00.
Right. You do anything fun over the weekend, Weza?
Let's see. This weekend, what happened this weekend? Man, it felt like it flied. Okay, a little bit of relaxing. That's something I don't often do. But then I also had to do a bit of farming. Yeah, so I do that too now. Right. Yeah.
Get into. Tell us what the hell that means. You can't be so What?
So we've got cows, about 70, 80 cows, and then we've got goats around the same number, 70, 80. Then there's some pigs as well. They're around 20
Are they all for eating?
Yeah. Well, you can eat them if that's what you mean.
But that is you're enormously wealthy then. That's a lot of cows, man.
Wow. I feel like it's.
I know how cows have appreciated as assets. That's a lot of money you got going on.
Yeah, thank you.
You could get married a few times over.
I know you would think about marrying a few times over. Of course, it would have to come from you.
Sure, because she's already put so many husbands into the grave. You know, Leigh-Ann. He's thinking of the next one right now. What's the money? He's got lots of cattle. I'll have him.
Yeah, I'll lobola you for 20.
Seriously though, what do you do with them? Are they for eating? I mean, is that why they're bred, or like what's happening there? Or are you milking the pigs?
Oh no, milk the pigs. I've never actually thought of that. I wonder if they'll come up with that, like a pig milk or something like that. That would be crazy.
But dude, farming, this is not just something anybody can do. I mean, like, you have to be pretty sharp to get the farming stuff right. And it's expensive and it's labor intensive. Have you got a lot of land that you keep all these cattle on? Because they obviously need lots of pastures to feed on and all the rest of it. It's amazing.
They do, you're right. So what helps is also just having like a communal system going on where, there's a couple of farmers all around each other. So the livestock generally grazes on the same pastures, and then you just bring them in to your crawls and things like that. So it's out there in the northwest, very close to Sun City, actually, the Pilanesberg area. And because it's so close to those areas, sometimes we have encounters with some of the wild animals. Like this one time I arrived there, and the guys had had to, like, the dogs had attacked a leopard because there was a leopard that
What
came
dogs
through.
are they?
Yeah.
Are they
Yo, no,
ridgebacks by any
yeah,
chance?
these are, no, they're like Boerboel type,
Okay.
hectic dogs. And
Well, yes, to
yeah.
attack a leopard, I would think that's quite a scary. I don't know a dog that. I'm looking at my dog, thinking that if he attacked a leopard, there would be very little left to him.
Well,
you must remember that ridgebacks were bred for sorting out lions. So Boerboels will sort out anything and eat it from head to toe.
Yeah.
Sure.
Very tough animals, those.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's been that. It's been snakes. Like every now and again, and I go there, there's another thing, So there was a black mamba, for instance, they came across.
Ooh.
So some hectic stuff sometimes. But the guys, they are quite brave. And that, hats off to them, because they come across these things and they always end up victorious. Yeah.
I remember when I was living in McGregor, which is in the Western Cape and at the bottom of the Klein Karoo.
Yeah.
And the guys came in there to deforest the garden because it was just incredible. Came to me and said, "Oh, there's a green mamba in the tree, but don't worry, it's gone next door." Which,
sure.
It's like, well, I'll also go next door.
Sure. Yeah.
Next door was a pub, so obviously I'll go there.
Door. Yeah, it's just a green mamba next door. Don't panic.
And then bringing me snakes that they were holding, little garden snakes, and saying, "This is a so-and-so." And then the one day I saw them running, 6 guys running in a line.
Yeah.
Literally like putting flames out on their backs. I'm like, what could they have seen if they handled
green
snakes?
mamba. Must have.
And it was a beehive.
Oh,
we were like, no, we don't stuff around with bees, hey?
Yeah, you know what? I'm always, if I find bees and I've had them in the garden, or you sometimes find them in the house, I'm always thrilled about that, because somebody told me that bees are really threatened, and there are not many places that they can build their hives. And if you've got them, it's quite lucky, because also they go around, they pollinate the flowers and everything else. But I didn't realize how not endangered, but they're in some trouble, bees. So when I see them, I'm happy to see them.
I mean, as soon as we don't have bees, we don't have fruit and veg. No one's going to pollinate that shit for free.
Right.
For free.
So it's very important.
They don't work for free. They're not slave labor bees. Someone's got to pay them. So all right, we've got a little bit of fun coming up later on in the show with Collectomania. We've also got something to get your head right first thing on a Monday morning with Dr. Hanan, and we're going to be checking in on It's Going to Be Okay. We'll also be speaking to one of the other Cliff Central family who'll be joining us, Dave Levinson, who you may remember from the Just Now comedy show. He's also no stranger to the show. Dave has been through a really tough 2 years. We were talking about this when I said hi to Weza just now. And the entertainment industry was really hit hard by lockdown. And he wants to share his story and get some advice from Dr. Hanan. So it's always good to check in with Dave Levinson. And we'll be talking to Dr. Hanan Bushkin in just a short while in our little Monday morning, what do we call it? Our little therapy session. It's like group therapy on a Monday with Dr. Hanan, and we'll be joined by Dave. Also, we've got some headlines to get to. So let's do some of those and quickly see what's been going on in the world. First of all, I mentioned Ukraine and Russia. We're not going to go into too much of that, because I think anyone who's watching the news already knows more than I'm going to be able to tell them in 5 minutes of headlines. But Russia has limited Twitter in parts of their own country. In a statement, the company said, "We're aware that Twitter is being restricted for some people in Russia and are working to keep our services safe and accessible." Lots of Russians have been protesting the war. They're against it in very many parts of Russia. And they've been putting down these protests with force in St. Petersburg, Moscow, and other parts of the country. So not everyone in Russia is on board with Vladimir Putin's ambitions in the Ukraine. And it's not surprising that they would be restricting Twitter there, of course, because Twitter is where people protest, right? Mm-hmm. Who remembers the Arab Spring? So Russians have been restricted in certain places. Facebook also said it had refused to stop fact-checking. and labeling content from state-owned news organizations. Internet connectivity at net blocks. They say there's a total or near total restriction on Twitter in Russia. NetBlocks said Facebook and Instagram weren't observably restricted as per their metrics, but certainly not to the extent that Twitter is at present. So that's all going on as we speak. I don't know if you saw, this was a big news story over the weekend, but apparently Elon Musk improved access to Twitter for people. I mean, not to Twitter, but to the internet for people over there with whatever his, what's his company called that does the, I think it could even be called Skynet, but he has that company that makes satellite
Something
internet
like that,
access. Yeah, a possibility. So if you know what that is, then just tell us so we can. I think it is. Yeah.
There, look at what Congo Chris says.
Elon has sent Starlink to provide Ukraine with internet following. I think Starlink. Yeah, there we go. Starlink. Starlink to the Ukraine with internet following the Russian cyber attacks. Starlink. That's exactly it. He's got so many companies, that guy. It's hard to keep track. So that's going on. And while that's going on, the police minister in this country is keeping it very much to himself who the next police commissioner could be, because he obviously fired the last one. He was useless during those riots last year. Remember when they burnt down those macros and there were all those people in the streets protesting and there was all that violence and looting in KZN and parts of Gauteng? Well, Minister Becky Cele has remained mum on the axing of the police commissioner. I mean, he should be fired as well, frankly. But on Friday, Cyril Ramaphosa announced he and that General Kehla Sitole had agreed on terminating his contract by the end of next month. I love it when, instead of someone just being fired, they sit down and they agree on the termination of this person's contract. Who's in charge here? Why do you have to sit down? Just fire the guy. Our labor laws are so screwed up in this country that even when someone's shit at their job, you can't get rid of them. It's such nonsense.
I would not, as soon as somebody thinks, maybe we should get rid of Leigh-Ann.
Yeah.
That's when I want to be gone. I don't want to be sitting there with negotiations and waiting out and, working out my notice. I don't want that.
That's because you don't have a thick skin like everyone who's hired by government, because we know that they don't wait to be terminated. They challenge every termination and then they go to court for years, and usually on our dime, to try and get their job back, even though everyone at the job hates them already and wants to get rid of them.
How embarrassing. Yeah, imagine going to court. Imagine waking up, brushing your teeth, showering. You're going to court to try to keep your job that everyone hates you at and that you know that you suck at.
Right. Well, I mean, kind of think about that. You see, if you were working, let's say, for Cliff Central, and then that were to happen, you could think of, okay, I can go to another radio spot or something like that. But you can't go to another government, you only have this one. So you try to hold on for dear life because you don't think you're employable anywhere else.
And we also know that there are lots and lots of really useless people. So, sometimes they got the job because their cousin or their uncle or their aunt got them the job. And you know how it goes in the bureaucracy. So let's not mess around.
But Weza, that's so true. I mean, would you just imagine you're Elon Musk? Would you hire an ex-South African government minister to do something at your job, your company?
Not a chance.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple of things that we also need to know about. Speaking of government, their stance on Russia-Ukraine is unclear. But, they released the statement that they really think that, war is a bad idea. Of course, Russia and Ukraine could care less for our government's input at this point, and we've got to be humble about it and kind of just shut up and mind our own business. But the Department of International Relations and Cooperation has called for Russia to withdraw its troops from the Ukraine. And apparently on Sunday, a minister in the presidency who represents Cyril Ramaphosa said the government's stance remains that parties need to negotiate and mediate. But it appears we've also given, some words to Ukraine, a strongly worded statement between Ukraine and Russia. We say that we don't like this escalating conflict. And we've said Ukraine has submitted its application against Russia to the ICJ. Russia must be held accountable. So I'm not entirely sure whether our Department of International Affairs and Cooperation is making a whole lot of sense on this matter. And I don't think anyone's listening to them anyway, so I don't think it makes much difference. But News 24 seem to think that we better be a little more careful about the way we put things and the way we explain things and how we exactly position ourselves. Do you think it matters? Do you think anyone's waiting for South Africa to have their say on this? Yeah,
I think South Africans in general, some of them are quite scared of our president and whoever even speaking because of the statement that put out to say, hey, don't interfere, don't even threaten us because we will act swiftly and we will deal with you. And so many South Africans were like, no. We didn't say anything. We don't want to say anything. And it's scary actually that another country can kind of try to shut other countries up about whether something is ethical or not.
I agree with you. I just wonder what everyone else in the world thinks, because I don't think everybody feels the same way. And obviously there are going to be a lot of people. I mean, I've heard people who are very pro-Russia on social media. I've heard people who are very angry with Russia at the moment. So there's a lot going on. It's a lot for us to swallow. Those are the main headlines. There's also quite a big story in the US. The first Black woman to be nominated for the Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson, by Joe Biden. And we will see. She obviously has to be confirmed by the Senate in the next couple of days. So we'll see what happens in that situation too. But, things like that go on. And the world doesn't stop turning just because all of that is happening in Russia and the Ukraine. Congo Chris says, I had a Russian roll last night. I'm doing my part. Oh, God. Yeah. And
there was a trend on TikTok for a while where it was like South Africa is one of the few places in the world that calls certain sausages Russians.
Yeah.
Like even the Russians were like, what do you mean you're eating a Russian?
Yeah. Right. A lot of people don't know what that is.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, I mean, Angas, right? I don't know why we call them Russians. I'm not sure, but there's that funny meme as well of like Vladimir Putin turning to Cyril Ramaphosa going, "You better stop calling sausages Russians." It's kind of an insult. All right, very good. We have. It's going to be okay. Sorry, I lost my way there for a second. It's
wow.
Be okay. Dr.
Can you smell burnt toast?
Can I smell burnt toast? Does that mean you're having a stroke?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And we've also got Collectomania later on. We've got a Harry Potter collection, which I'm really like. This is curiosity peaked, right? So we're going to speak to someone called Quintin, who's got a Harry Potter collection. He's got 1,200 different Harry Potter collectibles. That's unbelievable. So it just shows you. I'm also looking forward to checking in with Dave Levinson, who we're going to be speaking to in just a moment or two. Also, if you're wondering, Bitcoin dropping down to 37,888 after hanging around at 39,000. If you have Bitcoin, just don't bother for a while to look at that, okay? Don't look at it for at least a couple of weeks.
Really?
Yeah, it's not going to make anyone feel good right now. And then on the latest episode of Leadership Books Unpacked, Manda Tsifularo and Ngobile Ngobo have got 5 practices for bridging the strategy to execution gap that are used by today's winning businesses. If you want to know what all of that is in detail, they will give you a deep dive into strategies like committing to an identity, translating the strategic into everyday, and putting your culture to work. Conversation is anchored in Strategy That Works, How Winning Companies Close the Strategy to Execution Gap. It is a book by Paul Leeuwenant and Cesare Mainardi. And you can watch all of that and you can listen to all of that on Leadership Books Unpacked, which is brought to you by Superlead. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts and on cliffcentral.com, obviously. So all of that is happening. Lots of people already jumping on the Harry Potter thing. Ethan says, I hope he's got the new Nimbus 3000. And Cabello saying, is Quintin a wizard? Well, we will find out. But before we get to any of that, it's time to welcome back Dr. Hanan. How's it, Dr. Hanan? How are you?
Happy Monday. Guys. Happy Monday to you too. Hey, guys. How are you doing?
Good. So you have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was great, relaxing, working, doing the good stuff.
Nice. Yeah, I think everybody loves a weekend. We just wish they were longer.
Yeah,
Dr.
of
Tanan,
course.
we've got to petition government. You're a psychologist, so we can definitely speak to government and try and get them to, ease the pressure on so many people. Maybe make a 4-day week, and then we can have all the unemployed people pick up the slack on the 5th day, so that the rest of us can do a 4-day week. I wouldn't be opposed to the idea. If we can be more productive in a shorter space of time, we could probably do it, right?
As a matter of fact, I'm sure there's research out there that indicates that you can be more productive in a 4-day week. What I love about Google the most is that you can really find anything. If you want to know why chocolate is good for weight loss, just type it on Google. You'll get an article, a published research on why chocolate is good for weight loss. Find anything.
And it'll support whatever position you already took.
Absolutely.
Funny that. It's amazing how that works, huh? Isn't it great?
All
right. Well, it is also time this morning for us to reconvene with an old friend and someone who's been part of the Cliff Central family for a very long time. His name is Dave Levinson. Here he is. Hello, Dave. How you, dude?
There I am. How are you?
Nice to see you.
It's good to see all 5 of you as well.
You look like a silver fox. The hair is the hair is just a little bit grayer than it was the last time I saw you, but you're looking good, dude. What's happening?
Thank you. You guys looking good too. I've got some interesting news for you. That there's an advert for Escort Russian sausages with coconut cows.
Yes.
On the interwebs.
Oh yes, yeah.
The person she's talking to is supposed to be Vladimir Putin.
Oh right.
I'm the guy in the ad because of the back of my head is bald, and I look like Vladimir Putin from the back.
Oh wow, you look like
wow.
You do look like Vladimir Putin from the back. In fact, why don't we just do the rest of this conversation with you looking towards the back, and then I'll just change the name under you to Vladimir Putin, and then no one will be any the wiser, right? I mean, why not?
If you turn around, you get more people watching your show.
Thanks so much. Yeah. All right, here he is, everybody. There's Vladimir Putin.
Turn around real quick.
And just sound like you're speaking backwards.
Gareth, you forgot a vowel, but it doesn't matter. It's Russian.
No, sorry. Yeah, it doesn't matter. There are no
Vowels
vowels
will
in
get you.
Russian.
Vladimir.
All right, so Dave, listen, it's always good to see you, dude, and I haven't seen you for a little while. Obviously, the last 2 years, and we were talking to Weza about this earlier, the last 2 years in the entertainment business, especially stand-up comedy, which is what you do, has been bloody awful. I mean, we have seen you in a couple of TV ads, actually, and that's great. But you say you haven't had a great 2 years. So tell us what you've been up to, and then we can hear your story, and Dr. Hanan can help you and so many other people who've gone through the same thing unpack it.
Exactly. When Dory phoned me and said, "Do you want to speak to Gareth?" It was about 3 or 4 months ago, and I said, "No, not yet. I don't have my shit together."
Okay.
So recently she said, "How are things going?" I said, "A little bit better. So let's chat." Because I'd hate to just go, "Hey, Dr. Hanan, everything's fucked." Because you have to get in a queue for everyone that's having a hard time. So I said, let me find some sort of solution, and then we can have a positive chat about stuff to do,
Mm-hmm.
So it's the last 3 months have just been a little bit better than the last 2 years, let's say. Every artist, I don't think people understood what happened. Like if you're an actress or a TV actress or Seven Delon, I don't care, or a stage actress, if you're not in front of the camera or on stage doing your thing, you're not earning money. And they say that comedians are smart people and whatever, but obviously financially we're not that fit.
Well, I mean, listen, financially, I think a lot of people have been suffering, so it's not just you. But tell us about what you've been through, because I mean, I'm just looking at all of this in the context of, Rick, who committed suicide just a week and a bit ago. We had not so long ago a spate of these suicides in the entertainment industry, and we hear about people who have been very successful and people who have been, the kind of people who we've all looked up to, and we've thought, oh, they're okay. They've definitely got their shit together. Tell us what you went through so that we can just get a context for what you mean.
I think that's exactly what happened. There's a lot of people think that you must have had a plan for this, and wow, you're rich, you're Jewish.
Oh right, is that what they say?
And I'm not Jewish or rich, but the thing is, so on the 17th of March 2020, I had a gig that night. It was St. Patrick's Day, and I was off to a golf club to do my golf day stuff that I do. That's how I earn some money, by emceeing and doing awards evenings. And there was, say, like a 20,000 rand gig on that night was lost. And the next 3 nights, I had gigs planned as well, and they all just started saying, sorry, because lockdown. So I just sat in my hammock there, and luckily, I think a sense of humor gets you through. You know, I feel terrible for someone like Ricky to not have had said anything to anyone. You should be able to notice it, but you can't, because people, I know with my mom having depression issues, you just don't know what's happening in their head. They look happy. They look like they got this shit together, like you said. And then, so the next few months, I kind of went, okay, maybe this isn't going to last for that long. Then I realized, no, this is long. So maybe you've got a month or 2 salaries stored, if you're smart. Yeah. I wasn't smart. I had a 2-bedroom hammock, and that's where I sat drinking beer for 3 weeks. And then I realized, shit, I need to do some stuff. So luckily I had friends and family who said, listen, you're not working, you're not doing comedy, do you want to do some online stuff? So I said, I don't have money for Wi-Fi. I don't have, everything's gone. Like the weird thing is I was blacklisted by a tracking company that tracks your car. I won't say who it is, but they track your car.
That's
and they wanted to blacklist me for 88 rand a month. And I said, okay, track my car because I can see it there in the garage. No need to track it, but I can really see it. It's over there. And Cyril says I can't drive it anyway.
Assholes.
Then I realized I have to hide it, not from them. I have to hide it from Westbank as well, because they also phoned and they said, can we come and fetch your car? I said, well, you're going to have to find it because it's hidden away. Because they take it to a lot and then they sell it to a auction for 60 grand, and then you still owe them the 120. So you still owe Westbank 60. It's just a mess. And they don't care. Man. Standard Bank take your house, they phone and say, we're auctioning your house next week. I'm like, it's lockdown. I can't pay for it. And then they say, when do you think you can pay for it? So then you're like, well, I try not to think about it.
Dude, this is
there's no empathy, I think, for these people. They're just, it's a call center or a person working there, and they've just got a list of names of people. And now I've been handed over to lawyers, but that's also fun. Luckily, I do have a sense of humor. So they phone about 8 different agencies a day. So I chat to, when do you think you can pay? That's mine. When do you think we can expect payment? So I say, don't expect it, because you're just going to be let down and you're going to be depressed the rest of the day.
All right, but you are, I mean, like, you're the kind of guy who you always joke about stuff and you pretend it's okay. But I know that this must have been bloody awful to go through, and you're continuing to go through it. And you're not the only one.
I've got a good group of people around me. So family, friends. So it's not just about money. Although, I mean, Martin Evans, a comedian, he sent me money during lockdown. Friends of mine didn't even ask. They just said, "What's your bank account number? Let's get you some
that's
stuff."
Amazing.
Those are the good friends. And then my mom, who's a pensioner, she sent me money every month just to. I think she might not have known that I was sleeping in my car for a little bit. You know that Volkswagen that your friend couldn't start the other day?
Yeah.
So you have good friends, and you know that it's not forever, because you remember 2009. The credit crunch hit South Africa and hit comedians as well, because companies would stop the entertainment budget and they would stop their conference budget. So that's the first thing that stopped. So 2009, the exact same thing happened to me, where I had a kid. So now I'm used to this. So let's get it over with, and keep your wits about you, and just know it's not forever.
That's the thing. It isn't forever, and I've been through tough times as well, and it takes family and friends to say, but Leigh-Ann, don't you remember 10 years ago you were helping me out? You know?
Exactly. So I don't know where
you gave me a roof over my head.
Exactly. And you got that strength from somewhere, from your upbringing, or somewhere along the line you just knew that these things are not permanent. I'm selling CBD coffee at markets, and some people will walk past and go, aren't you that famous guy? I'm like, well, you don't get a famous check every month. You did some famous work this week. Here's a check for you. So I was selling the coffee, and then I recently started working at an estate agent here in Kyalami, where I live. So that's been crazy, because they do training every hour, and it's been incredible just to see people doing stuff and working and working in business. It's been like a platform for going, hang on a minute. Things go on. Life goes on.
Let's bring Dr. Hanan in here, because I think maybe his advice is valuable to a lot of people who've been through similar situations. You want to just pick it up. I mean, financial strain is obviously a big one, but Dave spoke about friends and family. Dr. Hanan, where do you start to unpack these things?
During the pandemic, when people were struggling, I heard so many people judge on the sidelines that, well, they should have been prepared for it. They should have had a contingency plan. But how do you have a contingency plan for a pandemic or for really an event that you could not predict? Life is unpredictable. But I always say when somebody goes through a rough time, there's always kind of the four horsemen of getting out of it, let's call it. And you mentioned, Dave, a couple of them. And I just want to highlight these four things that are non-negotiable when anybody's going through a hard time. The first one is you got to have a system, a blueprint, a game plan, a formula, a schedule, whatever you want to call it, to get out of this position. In the newspaper at the back, they would give you like a chess problem. And you're in the middle of a chess game and say, what's your next move for a checkmate? Or what's your next move for whatever? And almost life, kind of, you wake up the next morning and this is your chessboard. And you got to come up with a formula to get the checkmate. And without a formula, winging life is just too difficult. You cannot wing it. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody's smart enough to wing life. We can wing life when life is a 2x2 Rubik's Cube. That's when you can win it. But when life becomes a 3x3 or a 4x4 or a 10x10, nobody's smart enough to wing life. And if you are the type of person that's kind of a lastminute.com, that's fine. If you want to have a 2x2 life, that's okay. But the moment life becomes more robust and complicated and complex, you cannot wing it. You've got to find a system. You've got to find a blueprint. You've got to find a game plan, a formula to getting to the next move. And a lot of people will say, well, where do I get it? I don't know what the game plan is. Well, that's when it comes to the second part. You've got to lean on other people. So just to give you an analogy, if I don't know how to lose weight because I just don't know, well, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel myself. I'm going to lean on somebody that has the know-how on how to do it. If I want to get fitter, or if I want to become a better runner and I don't know the formula, well, that's okay. I will lean on a professional that will give me the formula. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. Somebody's out there that has been there, done that, got the t-shirt, knows the formula, can help you with the formula. So my number one advice is create a system. Don't wing it. If you wing it, you're going to rely on what you call emotional memory. You're going to rely on old patterns. Well, perhaps it's some of the old patterns that have got you this way, and there's no blame. Of course, it's a pandemic. That's a major part of it. But you got to rely on a different formula that gets you a different outcome. Then number two, the social connection. Not only to calibrate you, because we get calibrated through people. That's where you can have a conversation with somebody, you're in the worst mood, and 5 minutes later, you feel kind of okay. You feel kind of, hey, like I'm being supported. Being alone is one of the worst feelings in the world. Thinking that you're doing something by yourself is one of the worst feelings in the world. Don't do it. Rely on people that can relate. And people say, well, I only have one friend. Well, good on you. Good for you. If you have that one friend that you can lean on, somebody that will make you feel or semi-calibrate you, well, good for you. Number three, always know that everything is going to be okay, period. Everything is going to be okay. You've got to live with hope. Dave, I want to share with you a quick research. I don't think I've ever shared this on the show, but in 1950, this guy by the name of Richter did this most incredible piece of research. He took domesticated rats and he put them in a bucket of water. And he wanted to see how long they'd survive for. So the rats could not get out, but you could see on camera, they went down, came back up, went down, came back up. And they all drowned within 15 minutes. They couldn't last more than 15 minutes. He repeated this experiment and he took the same domesticated rats and he put them in the bucket of water. But this time at the 15-minute mark, he saved them. He picked them up, dried them off, and then he put them back in the bucket of water to see how long they'd last this time.
And then he lost his funding.
Well, in 1950, it was still very appropriate. Well, today we'd look at that and go, that's quite cruel. But listen to this. The first set of rats lasted 15 minutes. The second set of rats, the one that he put back, lasted almost 3 days, 60 hours, 240 times longer. Why? Because he instilled hope. The second set of rats knew that they were going to be saved. The moment you let go of hope, you're done. Your body can take on a ton load of stress. You know, when people say to me, oh, I'm burnt out, I tell them, you still have 95% capacity left. But when this goes, it's game over. And Dave, I'm sure you've been there where you've lost hope, because we've always been there, and how difficult it is to pick you up once this goes. Once your body's tired, your body can continue for 60 hours. But when the head goes, when you've lost hope, there's no continuing. And the fourth thing that I want to mention, Dave, that is so important, which you've mentioned, and you're quite right, you've got to have a sense of humor. While you're doing it, you can't marry the moment. You cannot marry the moment, because the moment is not the future. And the one thing that allows us to transcend the moment is humor. There's no question. There's something, you know this better than anyone else, Dave. Humor just transcends your will. You know, when you're having a good laugh, when you're connecting to somebody and laughing about something that's really funny, you're no longer in the moment. You're no longer in this present moment on Earth. You're somewhere on another planet. And to have a sense of humor and be philosophical about the moment is paramount. It's incredibly important while going through this. So these are the 4 things that you should keep in mind if you're going through a tough time.
I love it. This is such useful advice.
Wow.
Marco says this is brilliant advice. And Congo Chris says what Hanan said is just so true. Even if people feel unsafe or unsure, they revert back to a period of their life that they last felt safe or stable. You often see people going through it after serious breakups. And hope is key, right? That's so important. So sure. Anybody, I mean, because Dave, I have it in the back of my mind that because of your sense of humor, you'll always be all right. And you've got the kind of brain that, I mean, you've made beer, you tell me now you're selling like CBD oil, you're an estate agent, you're a comedian, you're all of these things. We also are built for survival, and humans are hugely resilient. Isn't that right, Dr. Hanan?
Absolutely. But you've got to know that it's going to work out fine. You can never, ever, ever lose hope. You've got to know that if it's not fine now, it's not the end. You know, what's the saying? It's if it's not, I can't even think. I don't know if you remember the saying. It's if it's not okay, it's not the end. Or I don't remember it. But anyway, the point is that if things are not okay now, it's not the end of the story. You've got to know that in a step down the line or 2 steps down the line, everything works out to be perfectly as it should. And by the way, I need to say something about it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay doesn't mean it's going to turn out the way you want it to, but it's going to turn out to be okay nonetheless. Because how we want it to turn out doesn't mean that that's how it should. How we paint the picture down the line doesn't mean that that's how it should turn out. But it's going to be okay means it's going to work out at the end of the day.
So the other thing is to know that other people are going through something as well. They might be hiding it well. So all the comedians that get these phone calls, they say they avoid them. They see the number that's withheld or it's a 0101 number, that's the bank. Always answer that phone. It gives you someone to talk to, and you make these call center people laugh their asses off, and they forget why they phoned you. But always answer the phone. Because
if you
don't answer the phone, obviously there is a thing called a subscribe debt where if you don't get hold of someone for 3 years, it becomes a debt that they can't recover. But then you are also blacklisted. Then you can't get a cell phone, you can't get petrol. But answer the phone, talk to them, be nice. They're just doing their job. They don't know your situation.
I've noticed through doing that, because I've been in the same position.
They recognize your voice.
Is that you actually you end up realizing that they're human beings too, and you do find that empathy sometimes. There's sometimes that I'll just sigh and say I can't tell you when I can pay that. When I'm paid,
they can hear the sound of the Marmite on the toast. They know times are hard.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll find that they're so appreciative of you being honest, and they're like, "No, don't worry, we'll make a plan." I'm not going to put this through to legal. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's about not hiding. Don't hide. You can confront it. By hiding, all you're doing is kicking the can down the road, and you think it's gonna still remain a can down the road, but it turns into a barrel. Don't hide. Confront it.
Yeah.
Listen, Dave, we got to get you on to come and join us one morning and just kick the can around, because that's kind of
at 6 o'clock again.
Yes, I'm sorry. We'll make you do it.
Because mad.
You're resilient, Dave. You can do it.
I need a psychologist now.
Yeah, this is what you got. What do you mean? We just gave you a free session. You greedy son of a bitch. We're not even going to charge you for
That's my time. I got to go now.
All right. Dr. Hanan, press stop on your clock, and we don't have to charge Dave this morning. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Dr. Hanan Bushkin every Monday, and Dave Levinson will have you back soon, my friend. Nice to see you.
Gareth.
And
nice to see you guys.
Thanks, Doc. Nice to see you. Weza Matuman is with us, as well as Leigh-Ann Mole, and you and me, and we're going to have some fun in the next hour too. So stick around. CliffCentral.com. Don't you go anywhere. It is a Monday morning.
There is only one place on Cliff Central for 80s movie recommendations, obscure 80s references, 80s crushes, and it's the only place on Cliff Central with the best 80s songs you forgot how much you loved. That 80s show, Fridays, 9 a.m. on Cliff Central. People say we're stuck in the 80s, like it's a bad thing.
Yo, I put it like wow, this that sound. These oaks don't work hard like me, I hope they know by now.
Live this Monday morning. It's almost the end of bloody February. Today is the last day, isn't it? Yeah, tomorrow's March.
It's crazy.
Holy hell! Look at that.
We're already like into the third month. Like you still had that feeling that the year was starting, and now look at us.
Crazy. Listen, I want to ask Leigh-Ann when she comes back. She's maybe got to give us a course in how you deal with call center people, because she said she actually gets them to empathize and they don't hand things over to legal. I got to learn how to do that, because I've always got these. I've got this part of me that's like, oh, you must be nice to the call center people because shame they have horrible jobs and, you know, it's tough. And all they do is they meet with people all the time who are just rude to them. You know how it goes, Weza. I mean, like it must be one of the most terrible, terrible things to do for a living when you just know you've got to call people and try to sell them something or try to give them bad news about their finances or debt that's outstanding or whatever. And they just become abusive. And if you deal with that all day, it can't make you feel good.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, let's actually kind of simulate the whole thing and let's see how it goes. So I'll be the call center agent, and we're calling you because you haven't paid your car, and it's it's been the third month now. And let's kind of see why you have a bad vibe with these people in general.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Yes, hello.
Hi, am I speaking to Mr. G. Cliff?
Yes, this is he.
Mr. Cliff, we are calling from the Debt Collectors Department of Berinja. We are calling about your Range Rover Velar, sir.
Yeah, I don't own that anymore. I had to sell it because I haven't earned any money for the last 6 months.
But sir, you cannot sell it. It belongs to the bank, sir.
Oh, well, you'll have to tell the Zimbabwean gentleman that I gave it to yesterday. He took it across the border. I don't have the car anymore. You're welcome to come and try and get it, but it's not here. Thank you.
But say you owe us 60,000, sir. I was just calling to understand their payment plan, sir.
You guys, you're so useless. I've got rid of it already, and I've got the money now. Go to hell. Go to hell.
No, it's horrible, man. It's terrible.
All right, so that's why.
Robin says I already failed the test. I've said it before on the show. I try to be polite with the guys from the call centers because, as I said, it's just the most thankless, horrible job. But there are days, and I'm sure everybody has this, even polite people like you, Weza, where on a bad day, they just call you at the wrong moment where you've got like 5 things going on all at once.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's not going to go well. And then you say something and you think afterwards, I shouldn't have been so mean. There was no need to be horrible, right?
Yeah. Well, the problem is that some of them are trained to handle, they call it objections or conversation stoppers, especially the ones that are trying to sell. So if you say, sorry, I'm not interested, they want to counter that. If you say, look, it's the wrong time, they want to counter that. If you say, almost anything that you trying to politely dismiss this conversation, and they seeing it as it's just a little challenge, let me just find a way around it. So I guess that sometimes is what rubs people off the wrong way, and then you end up kind of saying, look, dude, I try to be polite, but now I got to drop the phone, and then you end up
Yeah. So Leigh-Ann, when you were obviously making a cup of tea or something, but we were just talking about how it all works. You should give a course in how you can better deal with call centers.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I used to, you and I both know that when we were younger, we were kind of hot-headed and impatient. And I would do horrible things like pretend I was interested and take them all the way to the end of the conversation and then say no.
Geez, you got time.
But but they're just doing their job. I mean, they might have had a really shitty day. You've just got to be compassionate, have some empathy.
Yeah, and also it's fun to toy with them when you have the time, but most of us, let's be frank, we don't have the time to bugger around with this call center stuff all day. And I also think it's unnecessarily cruel and just mean and
I always think, what is that person going to do when they get home to their spouse or whoever, and they ask, how was your day? And they've got to say, well, I actually dealt with a really shitty person on the phone today, and it made me upset for the entire day. Don't do that to them.
God, now you got me feeling guilty. Ugh. And I'm talking about stuff that I did years ago. I'm now feeling guilty about. So thanks very much. You were meant to make us all feel better. This is meant to be a crash course in dealing with call centers. Now all you've done is lumped guilt on guilt.
But it's so true. And sometimes I'll be driving behind someone who's driving really slowly, and I want to hoot and overtake and swear and do all of that. And you think maybe they've got a cake that they iced specially that's sitting on their seat and they're driving carefully. You just got to try and put yourself in their situation.
Generally,
Right.
though, now that there's these automated ones, people feel less guilty for just dropping the phone because obviously it's a machine
Yeah.
on the other end. Like when your phone rings and then when you pick it up, it says, "Get the latest," and you're like, "I'm."
It's the worst. It's the worst. Like my phone will ring in the morning and I'm in bed and I go, "Hello, Leigh-Ann speaking. Get the latest." Fuck.
I hate those things. But so I have Truecaller on my phone, but I don't know if it picks that up because it's I get those calls even though I have Truecaller. Am I doing something wrong?
I actually wonder if it's not an incentive thing. Like obviously they know that because of Truecaller, most calls aren't going through. So are they maybe changing up their numbers all the time to try and combat that? Because at the end of the line, they also have deliverables they need to sell,
Yeah.
and they've got clients on the other end. Or maybe do they approach Truecaller and say, "Hey, man, look, can you
Maybe.
just kind of clear our books? We'll we'll give you some money."
I love this. Ulrich says, my friend works at a call center. Whenever she calls me, even from her private number, I answer saying, "Sorry, not interested in hanging."
But you know what? You know how much lying I do as well. Like if I get someone, "Hi, we're phoning blah blah. If you are in debt, this and this," and I'll go, "I'm not in debt," and they don't know what to do with that. You don't have any clothing
just in
store
denial.
accounts.
You're just in
Like,
total denial.
no,
You're like, "No, I'm not in debt."
Or we're from this bank, blah blah blah, and I just say I work at a bank. I'm sorry.
That helps me actually quite a lot of the time because they're like, "Oh, I'm trying to offer you insurance." I'm like, "Sorry, I already work for an insurance company, and
Yeah.
I just can't
Very
take
good.
up any." So
Yeah,
sometimes
you could probably
those,
get away with that.
yeah.
You could probably
And my,
do.
my,
Yeah.
my mom gets to play the stroke card often because she had a stroke, and
The
she often
stroke
just says, she picks up and I'm going, "Mom, just tell them you had a stroke." She goes, "Yes, sorry, I'm not interested. I had a stroke," and they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. They're like, "I'm so sorry. Okay, ma'am, bye."
Yes, I'm sorry, I had a stroke. They're like, "You forgot about that until now?"
Yeah.
Ethan
I can't
April
remember
here.
everything.
So
Can't remember
Ethan says that he
Yeah.
copies the number into Truecaller manually after ignoring the call just to see if it's someone dangerous. Wow. I don't know. I don't do it because it's someone dangerous. I would hate taking the call and then finding out it's a waste of time. So sometimes I also ignore the call the first time, then copy it to check who it is, and then call back if it's necessary.
I got a blast from the past. There's a guy I met on Tinder years ago, and it was probably one of the worst nights ever. I was so anxious before I went that I ended up, kind of trying to soothe my nerves by drinking some wine before I went out, which was a very bad idea. Got there completely smashed. Ended up walking out the bar because he was so horrible and fell onto.
Oh, you told me the
bottle.
story. It was a horrible story. Yeah.
Cut my knee open, but to the point where I couldn't actually walk, and ended up being taken by ambulance to hospital to be stitched up. Anyway, he phoned me the next day and he said, "I just need to know, are you crazy? But like certifiably, are you actually like, is there something wrong with you?" Ended up having a relationship with him. And talking about blocked numbers, I blocked his number eventually because it was just so toxic. And he messaged me the other day, and I've blocked them since. But he said,
Jesus, this is complicated.
He said, "Hey, Leigh-Ann, we used to know each other, and I'm genuinely curious as to how you're doing. This is blah, blah, by the way. And I now own a something brand in the Eastern Cape. I know we definitely ended on bad terms, but I'm on a mission to correct past mistakes. I reckon I owe you some money for that concert we went to. Would very much like to rectify that.
Oh, wow. He's trying to make amends, huh?
Yeah. Please send me a bill and let me make right by you. After which I hope we can be at peace with each other, and I hope to hear from you, and hope you are thriving and as happy as I am.
Oh, what are you going to do?
I immediately blocked him because, and I did think, you know, and my brother raised it as well. He said, what if he is just really trying to make amends?
Yeah.
And I said, well, unfortunately, I'm going to be the one person that he never gets to make amends with.
Yeah, you've got to have your borders, right? You've got to have your boundaries. Right.
Once you open up that conversation, it's just going to continue on and on and on again.
Sure.
So talking about block numbers and having empathy. In this case, I chose.
You know what? I've just changed my mind. I actually don't want you to be the one who gives us the course on how to deal with this stuff at all. You sound like you're more messed up than anybody else. So no, sorry, Leigh-Ann. Thanks very much for that. All right, that didn't go so well. So I mean, there are lots of stories of people who've had interactions with these call centers. Here's a good one from Tracy. She says, Leigh-Ann, just use your sex voice. You remember you used to do those, like Weza does voiceovers. Leigh-Ann used to do those voiceovers for the sex lines that, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell Weza about it.
Yeah.
You've had a long life, Leigh-Ann.
And you know, that stuff still exists. People pay a subscription and it comes off of their account every day to just phone in and hear someone talking sexy. So weird.
So you literally used to do that. How long ago was this?
Well, you remember when ETV introduced porn after a certain time at night? I would do the ads for that.
What?
So, while the porn was
the 350-50, like those SMS line stuff.
Those ones.
Yeah, like, you know, join me and my friends in the jacuzzi, and I'm waiting for you. Let's have some fun. And I think the worst was the places, and you'll know as well, Weza, with being a voiceover artist, is that you have to go to these weird places to record these things. And I would have to go to people's homes, the sound engineers.
Yeah.
All by myself. And the one guy had his hands under the desk and he was rubbing his thighs while I was doing this voiceover.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
Yeah. And he went, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do it again.
Oh, my goodness.
Jesus. That's awful. Oh.
Jeez. I mean, yeah, that sounds good. Let's do it again. Sounds like a normal thing to say for a sound engineer, but like it's the awkward situation that you're kind of in. Anything sounds provocative.
While one is rubbing one's thighs.
Yeah. But just explain, Weza, how these voiceovers work. Because again, you know, people who've never done these things, and I often get people who say to me, oh, you know, I really want to do voiceovers. I say to them, I don't know anything about that. You must ask people like Weza. So if you get calls that are from people who are asking you out of the blue, like, hey, how do I get into the voiceover business? It's bloody hard, and there isn't a huge amount of money in it if you're not at the top. But how does it work? You go into a studio, because this is how it used to work for me. Go into a studio, they give you a script. You have to read sometimes the same line 10 times. There's someone sitting there going, yeah, can you just emphasize the word "the" a little bit more? And it's very annoying. And if you're not a professional, it can be very, very boring and irritating. And I mean, the money's okay if you're at the top of the game, but otherwise it's not a livelihood for most people. Most people can't make a living out of this, right, Weza?
Yeah, look, it's definitely not something that every single person could get to do and get to the top of very easily, because it's not just about having a good voice. It's also about knowing how to use that to get into character, to interpret whatever they wrote here and really just bring it to life. So some people are maybe just don't have that acting ability, you know, to just bring things to life. Like, for instance, if you were Leigh-Ann over here and you needed to be sexy and like talk about joining your friends in the jacuzzi and stuff like that, if you don't know how to deliver those lines in the soft sell manner that they want it to be delivered in, to captivate people's imagination and take them to wherever you wanted to go, then it becomes really tough. It's easier for some who are, let's say, less of actors to do conversational reads where you kind of have to just sound like yourself. Sometimes you get a voiceover where you have to sound like a taxi driver. Well, if you already are a taxi driver, you kind of sound like how taxi drivers sound. And that's the weird thing about voiceovers, right? Is that how can you sound like a taxi driver? Because that's an occupation, it's not a sound. But it's just the human psyche is just weird like that. If I say taxi driver, you're thinking it's probably not a guy who sounds like this. Hello, this is a South African taxi driver. It's probably not going to be that guy, but it's probably going to be, hey, yeah, this is a taxi driver. And you're like, yeah, that sounds more like it. It's weird that we think that way, but unfortunately, people do think that way. And you as the voice artist just need to know how to get into that character so that you can take people there, with their imagination.
Yeah,
I remember going to a voiceover agency, and this was decades ago. And they said, you know that you can't make money out of this because you're a woman.
Oh, really?
And I accepted it. I said, oh, really? Oh, okay. And I went on to do something else. And you think about how times have changed. I mean, if someone said that to me now, I'd say, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what have you just said? Have you heard yourself?
But obviously, so Weza, when you're doing these things, for example, for the insurance company that you work for, you can't work for other insurance companies, right?
Yeah. So it's like an exclusivity clause, but it's not total exclusivity. So I can do any work for anyone else, just not a competing brand.
Tracy says, rubbing thighs while licking lips. Run, just run. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And these people do have recording studios in their houses. I mean, that is always how they always work from home. A lot of these sound engineers, right? So
you've got to deal with weird crap. Like you walk into some of these houses and they stink of cat wee, or you get dog hairs stuck to your pants because the German Shepherd's been sleeping on the sofa that you're about to sit on. They're cobwebs behind the microphone, and it's just
Or someone left half a sandwich the last time they recorded in there, and no one's taken it out for 3 weeks.
He comes out in his shorts and stokies,
Yeah, that's great. Congo Chris just wants a sample quickly of the hotline pomp voice, please, Leigh-Ann. So I mean, this is what people live for. So go for it.
Oh. Why don't you join me and my friends as we play in the jacuzzi? We want you with us now. We don't want to be alone.
Okay, that's great.
That was good. Let's do it again.
That's how it works. That is how it works. Oh my God. Weza, you're not married with 3 kids yet, are you?
No, I'm not married with 3 kids yet.
All right. Well, I mean, listen, after Leigh-Ann's pomp voice, you might be on the search after this. Tell me, are you still in contact with the other guys, Lesejo and Simpiwe?
I actually had a chat with Simpiwe just recently. So
you guys used to do, just for the people who don't know, might be new to the show. You used to do a show together, the 3 of you. That's why I'm asking. It's not There's not some inside joke that everyone else is excluded from. If you ever listen to the shows that we did in those first 3-4 years of Cliff Central, these guys, Weza was one of them. They put together an amazing show which they used to do weekly, and there were 2 other guys with Weza. So I'm asking him if he's still in contact.
Yeah. So he's a teacher now. Simpiwe is a teacher at Boys High, and I'm not too sure what he teaches on, but I my feeling is that it's probably in line with what his passions were in the first place, so he's doing that, he's enjoying that, and Lesejo is still hectically into the banking space.
He's been with one of the major banks for a while now. He keeps climbing his ladder. He's doing very well.
Definitely. And that bug of being in front of a mic or a camera has still not left his body. So I've seen him in a couple of TV ads recently. So yeah, he's living his best life as well, and it's a great thing to see. All of us really being able to kind of start somewhere together, build, and also just build the confidence. And I think that's one thing that Cliff Central was for me. When I had the show, our show was called Gentlemen by Choice, and we were inviting people who were but it was a really positive, feel-good show. We were inviting people who had great stories to tell of either past successes or current successes, and we were learning a lot from people and so on, and we would get great momentum from that. Once we even invited the CEO of Google South Africa, and just different types of people. Sometimes
and for a while, like I remember I went to one or two events that you guys put up where you would speak to like varsity students and people who wanted to know how better to kind of figure out the way forward in terms of a career or anything else, because the three of you were all studying, like you were studying engineering at the time, and then you ended up doing such different things, which I think is such a great kind of lesson to everybody. You may think you're going to study something. I mean, like engineering, you study that, then you're going to bloody well practice engineering. That's what your parents paid for. But the three of you all went off in different directions, and not one of you is currently an engineer, despite the fact that that's a very good career. It's a very good line of work. There's definite opportunity in it, and we're a country that needs more brilliant engineers. But look at you guys, all three of you doing completely different things. It's awesome.
Yeah. One of the things we came across while doing the show was someone spoke about lifestyle design, where you basically almost like wave a magic wand and imagine a couple of years forward, what would your ideal lifestyle be like? Don't talk about your ideal job. Let's think lifestyle. What time do you want to wake up if you had it ideally your way? What would you like to do? How much stress do you want to be in if you would like to have it your way? And you just kind of design this lifestyle, and then you find things that kind of complement it or can create it for you.
Absolutely.
So
I'd need a job that involves sipping pina coladas in a hammock on the beach,
and it exists.
And
that
I wake
exists.
I wake up at 6 p.m.
Yeah, look, that job definitely exists. Maybe it's just that, first of all, you have to search for it now that you've kind of designed the life that you want, because most of us just go with the flow, and when you go with the flow, that's not design, that's just kind of seeing what life gives you. But when you design it, you're the one that says, this is what I want. And then you start picking things that kind of go into that direction. And over time, it's not an instantaneous thing, but over time, you can see that kind of forming. And, the other thing I need to mention is that, we were also quite young. We had a lot of doubts about what the future holds and how secure our dreams or even our lifestyle design is actually going to be, and how legit this all is. But the show was really like a weekly affirmation. It was where you could kind of keep on talking even to yourself, as much as I'm talking to my tribe of superstar leaders. That's what I used to call everyone who was listening. But it was also a way of talking to myself and just reinforcing what I'm doing and what I'm believing in. So I mean, I was on Cliff Central for I think 4 or 5 years. And in that time, I was able to design this life that I wanted. And I had that momentum, and it was always these positive conversations weekly with all sorts of amazing people. And that's, it's what led to, I think, all the momentum as well.
I'm so interested to know how younger people, so like Zennials, what their motivation and what their goals are. It's amazing how much it's changed. You end up, you're a young person, and then all of a sudden you're in your 40s, and all of a sudden you're 30 years in age difference from somebody who's just starting out their life and thinking about what they want to be when they grow up. But what are young people's goals now? I mean, if I think about it, Gareth, when you and I started working, it was impressive when you held a job for a long time. When you could say, oh, I've worked at this place for 16 years, people would say, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And now, if you stay in a place for longer than 2 years, people are like, what's wrong with you? Why haven't you moved on? What's the next step? Keep going.
That's right.
You know, how different it is.
Right. Yeah, I mean, listen, all of that is in such flux at the moment. And also, you being in a career these days almost seems a little antiquated. Like a lot of people, I mean, obviously, there are some places we'd prefer people to stay in a career. Like if you're a doctor, it would be better if you stayed a doctor and didn't also become there are doctors who become business people, but they can't very well practice at the same time unless they are in a very particular kind of practice. I mean, rules are broken everywhere. But the idea of just doing one thing seems so kind of boring. You meet people who are they're engineers, but they're also Bitcoin traders. You meet people who are teachers, and in their spare time they're selling merchandise. They've got a product line they've developed. It's quite incredible. I mean, I just love this. So listen, we've got to get to Collectomania, which is another thing that I love. You know, every week we get to talk about someone somewhere who has an incredible collection. And it could be anything. By the way, if you know of anybody who is a collector of unusual, interesting things, let us know by contacting us at contact@cliffcentral.com. That's contact@cliffcentral.com. We'd love to feature them on Collectomania. It is brought to you by the South African Gold Coin Exchange and the Scoin Shop. And Weza, you're new to this, but we have met the most incredible people over the last while. And one of those incredible people is with us this morning. He is South Africa's Potterhead. He has around 1,200 Harry Potter collectibles, which include prop replicas from the movies, the actual movies, Funko Pops, wands, T-shirts, all kinds of stuff. And the collection is now in a separate room in his house. His Harry Potter room has also run out of space now, so he's moved some of it to his office at work, which is awesome. And it's now called the Harry Potter office at work. So Quintin Wils, so nice to have you on, dude. How are you?
Hey, good, thanks, and you?
Awesome, man. You even have Harry Potter glasses in real life. That's incredible.
I do, but the reason is actually not for Harry Potter. It's actually because I don't have eyebrows, so I actually just make sure that I put them on that way so that you can't see my eyebrows, but okay.
So, Quintin, first of all, like, I love the fact that you've already got all the stuff displayed beautifully, by the way. You got lights there. You've got little setups. I mean, I'm just looking at the shelves behind you. I'm not even looking at you, and it looks incredible. So over 1,200 Harry Potter collectibles. You also have your own YouTube channel, right?
Yes, that's correct. So basically, actually, this entire collection basically came from the YouTube channel. So everything that I've got more or less happened within the last 2 years or so. What happened was it was lockdown. And I started getting bored, obviously, in that time because all of us needed to sit at home and so on. So I started searching for things to do and so on. So I always had, obviously, the obsession for Harry Potter, and I started buying things online. And then they started arriving bit by bit. And then something I always wanted to do was create a YouTube channel. And so it sort of started off from that. Obviously, the videos in the beginning were extremely bad, so don't go and look at it. But now everybody's going to. But yeah, so they were very nice to start off with. And then eventually, what started happening is people started seeing it, especially here in South Africa, because you don't really have people like sort of specializing in Harry Potter stuff on YouTube for South Africans and where to get it and so on. So I thought, okay, let me start it, and I can tell everybody, where to get everything. And then people started sending me stuff as well. So I didn't necessarily buy all of it. Some of it people sent me in mystery boxes because, yes, I do have quite a childlike reaction, if you will. I get overly excited when I receive something. So I usually have big reactions on things. And that's obviously then all of that on YouTube and so on. So, yeah, that's basically how this collection started off. But I did go to, it was Belgium, I think it was in 2016. We actually went to go and watch Beyonce and to get engaged and so on. But then, okay, that's a side story. But what happened is my fiance then arranged for us to go and see the Harry Potter exhibition, which was on at the time, but I wasn't aware of it. So we literally just rocked up there, and that's when I got my actual first merch item, which is this one, which is then the prop replica from the movie. So this is actually then Harry's wand. So this is exactly what it looks like in the movie as well. Yeah, so you then open it, and then exactly like this. So there's the authentication card, but then you basically open it exactly like in the movie, and then there is the wand itself.
So that's
so cool.
That's Harry's wand.
Wow. Yeah, so this is Harry's wand. Yeah, an actual replica of that. Yeah.
How many wands do you have?
I now have 52 wands in total. Man. Yeah. Yeah, all started with this little one.
Which one's your favorite?
I think this one is actually my favorite because obviously it was the first one, but I do have another one that I took off to show you because I actually do like things that you can like sort of use that's interactive. So this is Newt's one from Fantastic Beasts, but this one is a light up one. So you can actually just like sort of flip it and then that, like switches on and off basically as you use it.
So cool. I'm sorry. This makes me like really excited because I get like a kid and I kind of imagine children must just absolutely go mad for this stuff because they can imagine that their wand really works and they go and play with the thing outside and like they turn this into that or whatever. These are like it activates the imagination even in the most boring people on earth, right? I just love it. It makes me excited.
Yeah, me too. Well, that's the thing. What happened with me is obviously back in the day when the movies came out and stuff, there wasn't a lot of things available, and also I couldn't get it. So I think that's why I've sort of started it now because I can actually afford it now and I can actually get it. That's why I'm doing it. Right. So I literally feel like a kid all over again. So I think that's why I have those reactions because I literally would like freak out when I see something or my face would drop completely because I can't believe that I actually have it like in my hands or something like that. Yeah.
Well, what makes this so cool too is that obviously before the movies there were the books. Were you a book reader before then? Were you a Harry Potter book fan before you became a movie fan?
Yes and no. What happened was I think I was about 11. Yeah, I was about 11 when the first movie came out. So one of my friends at the time said, "You have to see this movie," and he started telling me about it. And I thought, okay, wow, this actually sounds cool. But I couldn't go at the time. So I don't know if you can remember this. A lot of people don't remember this, but usually in the checkers, like, okay, it was the Hyperama back then. As soon as you got into the big Hyperama, they usually had like the kids section and then they would play like the movies and make everything up with whatever the video was that came out. So incidentally enough, that's when I actually watched Harry Potter for the first time in the Hyperama. So I was so transfixed with it while watching it. And I was literally one of those kids sitting like, absolutely transfixed with everything I saw. And that's when it started. And then my sister actually bought me the second book. So I watched the first movie and then read the second book. And then from there on, obviously started reading the books before the movies came out.
It's so cool. So tell me quickly about the pieces that you have, because some of these must be quite valuable and quite expensive. So let's look at, because we're always talking about the value of these things, and a lot of people are quite obsessed with what they're actually worth. So give us some of this. I mean, like talk about the monetary value of these things.
Yeah, the Funko Pops I've got, some of you can see behind me. In total, I can't remember now, it's 90-something. Obviously, I'm just focusing on Harry Potter. But they range to about, from what I could see on the app now, because I've got some rare ones, which I'll show you just now. So the total of the all is about 50,000 Rand now, the worth of it. Everything put together. Of which this one, she comes in a 3-pack. Together with her 2 brothers. So the 3 of them together then in the 3-pack goes for 3,000 Rand now at this stage. Luckily, that's not what I paid. I got it for a lot cheaper from someone in the United States, and then they sent it over to me. And then I think one of the other ones which I actually got recently, which I like a lot, is also a little bit over 3,000 Rand, is my life-size Dobby. So this is an actual life-size Dobby. So
Look
yeah,
at
as you
that.
can see, his head is just as big as mine, basically. So yeah,
Oh, wow.
he's got like everything. So he stands here in the room. It freaks people out a bit, but yeah, that's him.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's very cool. Do you sell or swap any of these things? Because some collectors want to expand their own collection. Maybe you've got 2 or 3 of something and you want to get rid of 2 of them because then you can get something else. Is that how it works?
Yes and no. Sometimes what I do is on the YouTube channel, I would start like gathering some of the things and then I would like give it as part of a giveaway, because that was my other thing on the YouTube channel, as well as I always wanted to share things with other people and obviously Harry Potter things. So I would start collecting things that either don't fit or can't fit in my Harry Potter office. Then I would give that as like one big batch in a giveaway, of which I did tally it the other day. I think that's about more or less 200 items or so that I have given away already in the past year or so. So yes and no. I don't really sell it. I'd rather keep it or then give it as a giveaway. What I am going to do now for the very first time, just to like sort of celebrate my Harry Potter journey on YouTube, because I'm going to be on YouTube for 2 years. In May, and I've just hit 1,000 subscribers, which for me, I know it's not a lot for other people, but for me it's a lot. That's because awesome. Obviously I'm only focusing on a Harry Potter South Africa, which makes the market a lot smaller. Sure. So as part of that, I'm going to do like a giveaway, well, not a giveaway box, a mystery box of licensed items that people can order, but it's already from, I think what I saw yesterday, it's sold out, but yeah.
But that's pretty damn cool. I mean, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Getting into the marketplace stuff. So, all right, what is the global Harry Potter collecting community actually like? Like, how geeky are you guys? And what kind of people are there in the world? Because I think this is probably one of those areas where you have a lot of wacky people, you know, like some real serious collectors who spent their entire lives and all of their money on Harry Potter stuff. You meet some of these people online?
I have met some of them, yes, actually through the YouTube channel. Yeah, I think there are people that go a lot crazier than what I do. I know the Guinness World Record at this stage for Harry Potter collectibles is they've got about 4,000 things more than me, than what I do. So it's about 5,000 and something. And I think the person after that is 4,000 and something. So I've still got a long way to go, but okay, given I've only done it for 2 years now. But yeah, no, a lot of them go a lot crazier. And I think what's also interesting is if you like start YouTubing it, because that's what I sort of got the inspiration, obviously, for YouTube, is there's a lot of mystery boxes at this stage, like a lot. That started coming out. It's absolutely crazy the amount of Harry Potter boxes you get now, like from all over the world, literally, of people obviously shipping it all over. With Corona, it made it a bit more difficult, but it literally, and this expanded and exploded, I think, within like the last 3 or 4 years. And then obviously people starting YouTube channels of unboxing it and so on. And it just started getting crazy, of which here in South Africa, we've got about 3 people doing it like on a regular basis now, which is also great and incredible. So it's basically, you've got Wizards Create. She also started a YouTube channel. Also from South Africa, centered around DIY related things and how to make Harry Potter DIY things. Then you've also got the Cupboard Under the Stairs. So they've got a mystery box that they do monthly. Okay, it's now this year, it will be every bi-monthly. And then you've also got the Potter Cauldron, which also I got a lot of these items from. And then there's also another Harry Potter store that opened online, Potter Store SA. Which also does a lot of wands and, well, Harry Potter related things. So it feels to me like in the last 2 years in South Africa as well, it like started expanding exponentially. And we actually have the first Harry Potter store that opened up in Hillcrest in Durban last year. The Shire, yeah. So it's an actual dedicated Harry Potter shop. It's very cool. So they made everything up. There's like letters hanging off the roof and like little flying snitches all over. If you like go into the toilet, for example, I don't know if you can remember this, but in one of the movies, there's one of the characters, one of the ghosts, for example, she's permanently in the toilet. So you can hear her voice, for example, when you go to the toilet.
What was her name again? What was her name?
Moaning Myrtle. Moaning Myrtle.
Yes.
Yes. So you can hear her voice in the toilet, for example, when you go to that shop.
Wow. Yeah. That's so great.
Yeah.
Okay, the YouTube channel, how does that work and what do you do on there?
So on the YouTube channel, it's mainly unboxings and me obviously sharing with people where I get everything, because that's the first question I get is, where do you get all your stuff? So apart from obviously your normal things like Take-A-Lot and so on, people want to know, where can I buy this, or where did you get this, and so on. So at first it started off as a channel just showing whatever I've got and showing, okay, I got this one from here and so forth, or I bought these t-shirts from this place, Fancentric, for example. But then eventually people, like I said, started sending me boxes and so on. So I started doing the unboxing part of it, which people seem to love more. And then, like I said, my childlike reactions that go with that, because I just feel like, I'm not going to edit it out, because from what I saw eventually is people like seeing me freaking out about stuff like a child about these things that we are getting. I think one of the nice things actually for me that happened with the YouTube channel, which I really did not expect, is people started watching it from other places in the world as well, from obviously from the US, from the UK, India, and so on as well. And then some of those people started sending me stuff as well, which was quite cool. I actually received this one, which is also an exclusive. It's Harry with the Flying Key. This one I received from someone from the States as well, that she sent for my birthday, which I'm not going to complain about. Please keep on sending.
No, hell no. If anybody wants to send, if anybody wants to send you stuff, your YouTube channel is called South African Potterhead. And,
yes, that's correct.
Do you often get like people who are confused and they go and they send you weed because they think you're a pothead?
Luckily not, no. So obviously the fandom itself is called, we call ourselves Potterhead in the entire world, so Potterheads, one word. So no, luckily I have not received weed yet. I don't smoke at all. I'm actually a very boring person with that concerned, because I don't drink, I don't smoke or anything. So you can just imagine if I do an unboxing with weed.
No, I think it would be hilarious, man. I think
exactly.
I think you should maybe talk to those people and like confuse them a little bit, and maybe you get like a whole weed supply going on at the same time. You can sell Harry Potter stuff, but you can also sell pot. It would be quite an interesting, scale.
Exactly.
A new direction to take it all in. Bloody amazing.
Exactly.
So, what are you still looking for that you haven't got in your collection?
The things that I'm looking for, that's obviously the things that are difficult to find. Is I'm actually looking for the Sword of Gryffindor. That would be very cool to have. But that goes for about 2,000 Rand more or less. But that's not the problem. The problem is actually getting it shipped here, because it's a sword. So obviously through customs and things, it looks like I'm bringing in some illegal kind of thing to slash people with. So.
They're already. I bet you customs is already watching you. I mean, they wouldn't.
Most likely. Yeah, and then the other thing I'm also looking for is I would actually like an actual broomstick, like the Nimbus 2000. So they go for about 7,000 to 8,000 Rand or so, and then obviously the shipping of that is a lot more. But that's one of the other things I would also really try and get. I'm sure I'll get it one day.
It's very cool. Yeah, Weza and Leigh-Ann, are you interested in any of this stuff? I mean, would you want any of it? Have you got a collection, Weza? We don't even know if you're a collector. Are you a collector of anything?
No, actually, I am not. I'm not really a collector of anything specific. I guess it's I'm not really deep into that space. Leigh-Ann, are you?
Oh, yeah, she collects a whole lot of crap.
Yeah, I do collect a few things.
Yeah, but I mean, Harry Potter, like, it doesn't matter whether you're young or old. This stuff is just so much fun to have around you. And it must be like,
I can't believe when you said you were 11 when they first came out.
Yeah, I literally grew up with Harry Potter, if you look at it, because basically when he turned sort of 11, I turned 11. When he turned 12, I turned 12, literally as the movies went along. So I literally grew up with him, especially on screen. Yeah. So basically when the last film came out, we were about the same age. Me sitting there with my popcorn freaking out about Harry Potter still. I still do.
I can't believe it was so long ago. It's just mind-boggling.
Yeah, it's 20 years now.
It's phenomenal.
Wow.
But if there must be kids who you occasionally let into this room and their eyes must pop out of their heads. I mean, they must just think they're in heaven.
Yeah, they do, but I think I freak out more for the wrong reasons because I literally go, don't touch this, just leave this there, you can't touch this. So yeah, I just usually have them stand there and say, just stand, you can't touch anything.
Don't touch.
But yeah, sometimes that doesn't happen, and then my heart literally starts getting like pounding about certain stuff. And I think, oh my goodness, they're gonna break this. This thing is this value. This is this value. This is gonna happen now.
Wow.
Oh wow, it's so awesome. No, Quintin, this is a great collection, man. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. This is so cool. Are you ever going to like let people come and look at the stuff in person? Because I mean, some of these kids and some of these adults, frankly, will want to like see all the different ones and actually hold them in their hands. Or are you a bit nervous about who you let into that room?
I am, but I will do it. What I usually do on YouTube is I have done a room tour so that people can see, because a lot of people wanted to see it, and a shelf tour as well. So I have done that as well. Obviously, my friends and stuff I will let in. I think it would be awesome to have another Potterhead in here, because I think they would actually appreciate it a lot more than my friends, because some of my friends are literally just like, it's a wooden stick. That I'm like, no, it's not a wooden stick.
Do they give you shit about that? Because we've often had collectors on, and their husbands, wives, girlfriends, boyfriends, friends are like, "Oh, you're an idiot. You're crazy. I mean, I love you, but you're insane."
Yeah, no, well, you see, thankfully, like I showed you that first one, that's all my fiance's. It's all due to them. So what I'm just saying is, you started it. It was not me. I did not start this. You started it, and they actually helped me a lot of the time. So what my fiance does is he will actually, put everything out and says, okay, no, it's not going to work this way. Rather put it this way. This display is going to work better. Because obviously on the other side of where we are now, of what you can see, there's also a lot of other stuff where the ones are now against the wall and so on. So he helps.
Like you've got your own. It's like you've got your own consultant.
It's lovely. So I just collect, and he basically puts it on and makes sure it looks perfect.
That's superb. So listen, there's a comment rather from someone here, but Tanya says, a friend sent me a golden snitch as a gift. I was so excited I burst into tears. Now the golden snitch is in the game of Quidditch, right? It's that little gold thing with wings.
Yeah.
Have you got one there? Show us yours. Show us your golden snitch.
Yeah, I've got a couple. I'm going to show it this way. I'll take one off. This one over here is a Paladin light. This one over here is a levitating one. Let me take this one off. So this one actually levitates. So it's got like a stand, and it literally like floats. Yeah, which is very cool. So this one also came in from the States. Yeah, so this is one of my golden snitches. And then obviously... the one that you can see on screen there, that one, for example, I've got two off. So the other one is in my Harry Potter office. And then that one over there is the light. So everything that you see here in front of you, that is the Quidditch display. So the game of Quidditch where they need to obviously catch the flying snitch. So yeah.
You mentioned your Harry Potter office, but what work do you do, and how come you can get away with having a Harry Potter office? What do you actually do for a living?
So I'm a marketing manager at a school. So I share an office with the IT person as well as my assistant that assists me with the admissions and so on. So I work at Amberfield College. And what happened there was I literally started, it overflowed. So I started putting some of it on my desk, and people were like, this is nice and so on. So I started asking the people I work with, listen, would you mind if I sort of bring in more of it? And they were like, yes, please do it, because the office was really boring. So I started putting up posters in there. Together with the posters, I've got old displays of suitcases. So the entire theme is Harry Potter, but it's also old suitcases and like a train station almost. And then we've got some of these potions as well. So these potions,
for example, like little bottles with potions in them, and you've got posters behind them. And this is so cool. Explain what else. Whose wand is that in the front?
So that wand in the front is Professor Slughorn's wand. So he's the potions professor in the sixth film. So that's his wand. And then obviously that's all of the potions and so on. So these I got from some of the subscriptions and mystery boxes and so on. And there's actually a replica. If you look there at the back, it says the advanced potion making. That is also a replica of the film, of the one that they use in the film. Yeah. So that advanced potion making, that's also from the sixth film. Yeah.
All right. So what's going on in this picture then? This one here.
So this one is centered all around the Weasleys, and then obviously all the sweets. So the replica that you see right here on your, I think it's your left hand, is the Bertie Bott Every Flavor bean. So that's a replica from the film there as well, with actual beans and stuff that you get. And then also in front of you is the chocolate frog. So that I got from England when I went to the making of Harry Potter, where you can actually go onto the film sets and so on, which I've been to. So all of this is just centered around the Weasleys, and then obviously all the sweets and stuff that you get from the film, because that's what I like the most, is, you know, things that you can actually see and taste from the film, or things that are like like
That's,
authentic.
That must have been so cool to actually go there and see the film sets.
That was incredible. You can actually also taste butterbeer, which is also the one thing that you only get like in the film. You could actually taste it. It was incredible. Obviously, my mind exploded completely when I walked in there, because the way they make it as well. Before you actually like go onto the set, the first set that you see is the Great Hall, obviously, which is the biggest set they've got. But what they do is there's a screen in front of it beforehand, so you like sort of watch flashes of the movie and so on. And then what happens is I sat right in front, and then this next moment, they obviously, you know, how they do it overseas is just incredible. But there was just like a lot of lights all of a sudden and smoke, and then the screen started lifting, and I was literally like, like looking at what's happening in front of me, and you can see the two doors then obviously of the Great Hall. So it literally felt like that moment, like when Harry and them walk into it, because then, this I looked up front. They said if it's your birthday, usually you can open the doors itself. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to say it's my birthday, even though it wasn't. So it was like literally me, this grown-up man with, I think, like 2 or 3 kids whose birthday it was. And we are opening the door to the Great Hall. Yeah. It was incredible.
Okay, what's this? Yeah, you've got books, and what's going on?
Sure. So this is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. So a lot of people don't know about this. So this is actually the 8th story. So this is after the last film, basically. So this is the play that they came up with. So the boxes on the left-hand side there, the black boxes you will see there, that is the replica ones from the play. So this is now actually the most awarded play in history as well, on the West End, as well as for the Tony Awards. So all of this is centered around Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. But then you will see dangling there is a replica of the Time Turner, which is in the 3rd film as well. And then to the left-hand side of the Time Turner, you will see there's like a little paper that says Harry Potter. That replica I actually got also from the studio tour. And what happened there was, at the time I was there, they obviously, what they do is everything is themed around something specific. So it was around the Goblet of Fire. And then what they would do is they would shoot out a paper, and whoever catches it can keep it. And that was actually the little paper that they shot out. So that's a replica of the one that they have in the film as well. Yeah.
This is so cool, man.
Yeah.
I just love it. Listen, Quintin, this is so cool. And thank you for sharing your collection with us. I know that, a lot of collectors, they get a little bit crazy. Have you ever wondered whether you maybe gone overboard?
Yes. A lot of times I'm thinking, I've actually got a new video idea. I told my fiance yesterday, and he was like, at first he was like, okay, no. And then he actually started getting into it. So what I'm going to do next week, I'm a bit scared, but I want to try it out, is I'm literally going to give a random person 1,000 rand, just a stranger, and say, here, a child, I want to make it a child specifically, whoever I meet on the street, and say, please buy me 1,000 rands worth of Harry Potter stuff because I just want to see what they come up with and so on. So I'm going to do that next weekend to see what happens. But yes, I have thought I'm going overboard. But then just to make myself feel better, I look at people from overseas like the Guinness World Record, and then I think, okay, at least I didn't buy an entire house for that yet.
You know what? You've got some shelves there with some great lighting. You've displayed the stuff beautifully. Your YouTube channel, which is called South African Potterhead, is something anybody can check out if they want to see more. And Weza and Leigh-Ann and I are just thrilled to have you on this morning. Thanks again, Quintin. Great to see you. Thanks, man.
Thanks so much, Gareth. And it's awesome meeting you. Can I just say that I actually remember seeing you on Idols. I was one of those people going to Idols way back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
And seeing you and sitting, I think you were like 2 rows in front of me, and I was like, Letitia, my friend, that's Gareth Cliff. So it's so awesome actually talking to you as well.
Well, thank you very much. Nice to see you, and have a great week. Thanks, man.
You too.
There's Quintin Wils. What an interesting collection. The South African Potterhead.
Quintin is such a fan. He needs one more collector's item. This one right here.
That's it. That is a bit of a collector's item now. I don't think we have any of those left.
Too funny.
So Collectomania brought to you by the South African Gold Coin Exchange and the Scoin Shop. You can find out more at scoinshop.com. That's scoinshop.com, one word, scoinshop.com. And if you're a collector and you want to share your collection with us, then please let us know. Contact at cliffcentral.com. Weza, so good to see you, dude, and nice to catch up.
Definitely. Thank you so much. This has certainly been a great morning. It's not easy waking up so early, and I can't imagine how you've been doing it religiously for like the last 2 decades or something.
We have not stopped, dude. Not 2 decades. We only got 7.5 years under the belt with Cliff Central, but we're coming up for our 8th birthday soon. We'll see you then. And Leigh-Ann, we'll see you on Friday.
Tot ziens, julle. Lekker
everybody.
bly.
Ja.